you doing, folks? Welcome back to the GM's Alcove. Got another little flip-through discussion for you. This one is on L'Art de la Guerre. This is a repost from a previous video I made back in 2015. A little bit of updates here and there. Edited the video for you so you can enjoy. And folks, let's jump into it. One of my favorite games for ancient medieval combat, L'Art de la Guerre. If you like DBX gaming, you might like L'Art de la Guerre. So let's dig into it and check it out. L'Art de la Guerre, which is a good DBX style miniatures rules. Pretty popular, big book. It's almost 200 pages worth of army lists and rules. As they call the first one the ancient period, and they got the classical period and the Roman period. And each period lists its own army lists that belong in that period. Subdivided into regions. Like here we have the Middle East. We got the ancient Egypt, early Europe, which includes 4 lists, including the Celts, various Greeks, that kind of thing. And yeah, they got the Americas, late Middle Ages, feudal ages, dark ages. So that's nice. And this is actually the bulk of the book. It's the army lists. Let's see what the army lists look like. And it gives you troop types, the point value of each base or unit, actually. In this game, units or elements, if you want to call them that, are actually 2 bases. Instead of like in DBA where it's just 1 element, there's your unit. But in this game, twice the depth. Frontage is the same. But you set up 2 bases, one behind the other, and that becomes your unit or your element, if you want to call it that. An exception to that would be the pike formations, which can be 2, just like the others. 2 bases, one behind the other. Or it does give you the option of using 3, like that. And that would be a unit, just like that. So that's one difference with the rules compared to DBM or Field of Glory. Well, Field of Glory uses units. DBM or DBA. Those kind of games, which is nice. I like that. It kind of reminds me of Impetus, where basically bases were 2 wide and 2 deep. Like this. That would be your Impetus size base. And the number of figures is irrelevant. So you could build little dioramas, basically. One good thing about this set of rules is that it does let you play with armies that are about the size of DBA armies. Normal games of this are actually slightly bigger than DBA-sized battles. It's more like an army and a half of DBA in size. That's the typical size army with L'Art. But you can play bigger battles, of course, in a bigger table. And it does have rules for that. So you can have big... say, for instance, like DBM-sized battles. So yeah, here's all the lists. And that's a big section of the rules right there. All this is just army lists. And that's some appendix in the back here. Designer's notes. Always good to see that. Budget, that's your point value to buy your army. All the rules on making your army. It's got rules for allied contingents, so on. So the rest of the book is the actual rules. You get this nice little glossy play sheet with it too, which is nice. There's all your important information right there in front of you to play the game. Yeah, you get that. Section on routing and pursuing. Lots of little examples here, which are illustrations actually. I do have lots of color photos, though, of painted miniatures, which is nice. Melee resolution. Yeah, it's very nice. I skimmed through these rules 1 time so far. I really like what they do. It's more clearer than, say, DBM is. It's got more meat to it than, say, DBA. But yeah. All the rules for shooting, rallying, disengaging, interpenetration, burst through, uncontrolled charges, which is fun. I like that in my games. What do you do when somebody leaves the table? Blah, blah, blah. There's charging, of course. And again, this uses, it's very DBX oriented, if you know what I mean. If you've played any DBX games, you know what I mean. Like when you resolve combat and shooting, it's a D6 plus the factors for your unit types and the situation, the tactical situations. So it's kind of like that. Your rules for wheeling, half turns, sequence of play, all this good stuff. How to determine victory. There's commander bases, I believe. They're separate from units, as you can see. This little base here that's a circle. It's actually your commander. I don't think you have to use round bases for your officers, but I think the option is there in the rules. Everything about command, giving your orders, spontaneous charges, command points, which I believe is like kind of like the way DBX uses pips. I believe they're called command points. I could be wrong. This is something unique to the game system. Strategists, I think they're basically historical personalities that are available to your army list, like guys like Julius Caesar and Hannibal. Unit characteristics, how they're divided up into the unit types, like light infantry, their protection value, which is like a number from 1 to 3. Their cohesion. Cohesion's important in this game. You basically lose cohesion as you get shot at and fight melees. And you need to use markers in your games to represent loss of cohesion. Bad things happen as you accumulate them, but you can get rid of them. So that's interesting. Some people use little different colored rubies to represent certain levels of cohesion loss. You can use a cumulative set of chits if you wanted, like each one represents one cohesion lost. You know, have a little stack next to your units. But it's a bad thing. Expendables, missile troops, stakes, javelins, rules for elephants, rules for the special abilities like two-handed weapons, cavalry, armor types like heavy armor. It's got a description of the classifications of troops, levy, pikemen. And of course, you have a description of the units and army and how it's made up. How units are represented. And again, here's a nice picture of what represents a unit. And these are typically bases for DBX size bases, like 15 millimeter scale figures. These would be like 40 by 15. Like this right here is heavy infantry, with or without missile support. Heavy infantry is 40 by 15, made up of two bases, one behind the other, and it looks like that. There's your pikes. So units are pretty small. You can have mixed units, rules for camps, of course. Unfortunately, these rules don't talk about rules for naval troops, like DBMM does. DBM, where you can have your ships coming onto the table and unloading troops on the enemy's flank or something. Just a little update as of 2020. I've been fiddling with a little set of expansion rules to utilize boats and ships a la DBMM into L'Art de la Guerre games. One thing I can say, it's relatively easy to do. I basically just convert the boats and ships from DBMM over to L'Art de la Guerre and make them available on various army lists. Fairly easy to do. So, folks, stay tuned for that. I'll probably include some videos about that in my future L'Art de la Guerre games. So anyway, there you go, folks. That's my look at L'Art de la Guerre, updated for 2020. The rules are quite popular these days over here in the States and the UK. They seem to be the most popular set of Ancients rules for tournament gaming at all the conventions and shows. Check them out. Definitely worthwhile. I'm a big fan of DBMM, but I do enjoy L'Art de la Guerre as well. It's easy to learn, easy to play, has that feel of a DBX game, and of course you can use all your DBX-based figures, be they 25s, 28s, or 15 mil. Great game, great fun. Folks, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know your comments in the game. Do you like Ancients gaming, L'Art de la Guerre? How do you think it compares to DBMM or DBA? Let me know in the comments, folks. And till next time, folks, hang in there. It's only going to get better. Take care.